Welcome to Outdoorsy Thursday. My name is Mike, and this is Thursday, so we're hanging out outdoors, and we're talking about some tips for early beginner manual drivers. All right, the first tip is literally the more practice you get, the better. But that also means you spending time before you have a manual car in your possession, and you're just watching videos over and over and over again. It's not really helping. Like, of course, get down the fundamentals and get down the idea of what you're doing. But until you're actually sitting in one and you're actually driving and you're actually like practicing, you're not gonna get better. You have to feel it, and you can't feel it through a screen. So, yeah, I just really wouldn't worry about it too much until you finally have the opportunity to go ahead and practice. But when you do, keep practicing. Practice every day. Keep practicing as much as you can, because the more times you practice, the better you'll feel the car, the more confident you'll be while driving the car.
All right, so one thing that I had a problem understanding in my brain is that we have all these gears here, right? But like, how do you determine which gear to be in? And again, you have to feel it, you have to understand, you have to get into the groove of it. But there is no rhyme or reason. The fun part about driving a manual is you're the computer, you're the brain, you're the operator of the car. You're not just the driver, you're the operator, which means you can go ahead and go into first, the second, go to third, and then, oh, I want to go to fifth, so you can go over to fifth. Like, you don't have to follow these lines. You don't have to do anything. You just, well, you gotta follow the lines to get it in. But you don't have to be like, oh, if I'm in sixth and I need to slow down, I gotta go to fifth, then fourth. You can go from sixth to third. You can go from sixth to second. You can go to whatever, as long as the RPMs and your miles per hour add up, and you'll get a feel for that as you go. But that's one thing don't worry about, is like, oh, what gear should I be in? You'll understand as you keep practicing. It's not a big deal. You'll get there. All right, so scenario, right? Let's just say you're in fourth gear, right? All right, scenario, let's just say you're in third gear, right? And I'm going like 40 miles per hour and I'm coming down to 25. Just like a normal automatic, you can go ahead and press the brake. Don't be scared to press the brake, because I had a nervousness of, oh, if I press the brake, then the car might get too underpowered and it might stall on me. Don't be scared, right? If you're going from 40 down to 25, most cars in third gear, you'll be fine, but press the brake just like a normal car. And if you need to go ahead and downshift, go ahead and downshift. It's just brake. Make sure you're braking. Also, let's just say you're coming up to a red light, right? I'm going 40 and there's a red light in front of me and I need to go ahead and slow down. So I'm scared and I'm going to go ahead and push in the clutch. You're going to go ahead and pull this out and it's going to be in neutral, and you're just going to slowly press on the brakes and stop the car, which is fine. You stop the car, which is great. But you can still stop the car while in gear. Like, you can make sure that you're using the gears and the weight of the vehicle to slow you down. So you can go ahead and press on the brake while it's still in gear, and then before you go and stall, push the clutch in, pull it out, put it into neutral, and you can still brake while being in a gear. You don't have to worry about that. Talking about the clutch, right? This is your best friend. This right here, that's your best friend. Now, why do I say that? Let's just say you need to slam on your brakes, right? You're going to slam on your brakes with your right foot, and then you're just going to push in that clutch to disengage the engine from the transmission, and so you're not going to stall. Clutch is your best friend. All right, so let's say you're driving, right, and you're in third, and you pull it back, and you somehow get it into second, and now your thing is revving. Easy peasy. Clutch is your best friend. You just go ahead and slam on that clutch, and now you disconnect the engine from the transmission, from the wheels, and you don't have to worry. Go ahead and readjust. Make sure you get the RPM in right, looking at the speed, and you're going to go ahead and put it into the right gear. Just, if you fuck up and you put it in the wrong gear, clutch is your best friend. So another example is, let's just say you're ready to start the car and you're like, okay, e-brake down, I'm in neutral, start the car. It's not starting. Stop. Don't panic. Clutch in. Remember, most cars have an electronic, especially nowadays, have an electronic sensor that if you don't push that clutch in, it won't start the car. I was sitting there at the inspection for when I just bought this car and I just started learning how to drive, and I was in the inspection lane and I pulled up, I stopped my car, they go ahead and they tell me, hey, put the lights on, all this stuff, right? But the car's off. And then they're like, okay, you're good to go. Go ahead and turn the car on. And I'm like, okay, turn. It's not turning on. It's not turning on. I'm freaking out because I just spent a lot of money and I just bought this car. And I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? What the heck? The guy is like, did you push the clutch in? I'm like, clutch in, zoom. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So clutch is your best friend. In emergencies and everything else, clutch is your best friend. And you know why? Well, let me go ahead and poorly demonstrate what a clutch does.
All right, so for this purpose, imagine this is your engine, right? And so when you go ahead and your engine's just running, it's going to be running at some RPM, right? And let's just say this is what your clutch is, right? So when your clutch is not compressed, it's just normal, it's going to be like this. It's going to be attached. So your transmission is going to put it into a gear, but when this goes ahead and turns, your whole transmission is going to turn, right? It's going to put power to the wheels. If we go ahead and depress the clutch while this is running, right, then nothing happens. There's no power going to the wheels. So, and now it goes. Clutch in, clutch back on, clutch in, clutch in, clutch in. So it allows you to disconnect the transmission from the engine. It allows you to disconnect the transmission from the engine, is what it does. It just clamps down when you go ahead and leave it, and then when you compress it, it presses springs to release, and then that's when you change your gear or do whatever, right? But then you go ahead and release it, and it goes like this. So that's why you shouldn't ride on your clutch either, because then you're just compressing these springs, so it's like, oh, and then eventually it's just not going to grab as well, and you're going to have to go get a new clutch. But the point is, it's just attaching, detaching. That's all the clutch is. It's just attaching or detaching. And so when you go ahead and you're slamming on your brakes, this is going to go ahead and make the engine turn slower because it's grabbing onto the wheels, which makes the transmission slow down, which turns the engine down, which is going to slow down the RPMs of the engine, right? But you go ahead and slam on the brakes too much, then the engine goes ahead and completely stops because this is just like, nope, okay, I can't overpower this drill. But it's going to overpower the engine, and then it's going to stall your engine. Where you go ahead and start braking hard, you push in that clutch and it releases, and then the engine can still spin at that idle, but it's not going to stall the engine, and you're going to be fine. You're just going to be able to slow completely down and put it into neutral, and then you'll be fine. Because again, neutral, even if the clutch is compressed, there's nothing attaching this gearbox that's behind the clutch to the engine, right? It's just free spinning. I can't free spin my hand, unfortunately, for you.
Alright guys, those are my tips for very beginner drivers in manual cars, and I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something, and go ahead and check out my other videos. Most of these are not Outdoorsy Thursday. They're mostly not car videos, so go check out the other stuff. And if this helps you, or you think it will help your friend that is learning or wanting to learn how to drive a manual, go ahead and send it to him. Love you, spread love, peace, and hope.